lost sound on Jeff, but we can hear Jeff now. Can you just do a little test for me, Jeff?
Yep, you can hear me?
Yep, I can hear him. All right. I'm just going to repeat my last.
I will say, Shivani, as someone who spends a lot of their time in online meetings with clients, it's not the first time that we've had to restart with someone's mic not working. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Just welcome to my world. It feels like a Monday afternoon, not a Sunday afternoon.
All right, no problem. So sorry, this just has never happened before. Okay, so we're going to get into that second group of comments. I'll just repeat the question for Jeff. So that's the first comment in those two is talking about how many small businesses have invested in PPE and other equipment in order to stay safe during this pandemic and to stay open. And now they're not allowed to open at all. Meanwhile, some of the larger companies that are selling the same products, foods, goods, places like Walmart are still open and still selling quote unquote non-essential goods like electronics, or somewhere like Costco that also sells clothing. So I really want to know from you, Jeff, what have you been hearing from business owners about this?
Well, so I think there's an important clarification to make here is that our government's been referring to this as a lockdown. It's not a lockdown. When we had a previous comment about New Zealand being in a lockdown, they were in a lockdown. And what has happened here is the government has decided as the best way to cut back on COVID and reduce the spread is to selectively close certain types of businesses. And that, I think, is the main issue that a lot of business owners have. And the government officials will stand up and say, we're all in this together. Reality is we aren't. This is having a tremendous impact on different types of businesses. And what I believe is that this is going to be one of the fastest accelerators of income inequality in our country, because companies are being shut down based on government rules that to a lot of entrepreneurs feel very arbitrary. To a lot of people feel very arbitrary. I can't speak for everyone, but a month ago I was shopping on Queen Street in Toronto, similar to Ronsonvale, the videos we showed, and low number of people are in the store. I felt safer than when I'm at my local Metro, at my local Loblaws, where there doesn't seem to be any control on what's going on once people are inside the store, and social distancing is not really enforced. The other thing, which I think a lot of people are having a large problem with, which I think is fair, is we've seen that Canada's richest are getting richer throughout the pandemic. And the reason for that is because Canada's richest own publicly traded companies that are large multinational corporations. And those are the ones that are being told by the government they're allowed to stay open, they're allowed to operate. And small businesses, which aren't publicly traded, which don't have lobbyists, are being shut down. And so for a lot of entrepreneurs, it doesn't feel fair at all. And we're seeing that in how businesses are being impacted and who's losing their jobs.
Right. And yeah, you kind of already answered my other question there, which is, if these businesses are following safety protocols, like that second comment was mentioning, and the larger companies are benefiting not only from staying open, but also from the lack of whatever competition they got from these companies. Is this fair, and what can we do about it? So we've already established that it's definitely not fair, but what do you think is the best thing to do moving forward?
Well, it's a tough question to answer. But what I think, going backwards, the problem is that our government hasn't never put in place proper contact tracing protocols to really understand where the virus is spreading. Really, in my mind, and I haven't seen it, is there's decisions on what to close and what shut down should be based on data as to where the virus is being spread, how the virus is being transmitted. And what we've seen, and I think what a lot of entrepreneurs have seen, is that it's been fairly arbitrary as to what businesses are being included and how they're being shut down. And really, I think that's really the crux of it, is that rules are changing in a really fast environment. Rules are changing almost weekly as to what's allowed to operate and what isn't allowed to operate. And when rules are changing so quickly, it's very challenging, or it's very tough to even understand how the government's making those decisions, and it feels very arbitrary. So I think there needs to be much more clear understanding and rationale as to why these large businesses are being allowed to be open, and small businesses that are following protocols are being shut down.
Right. And we have this last comment I'm just going to put up on the screen here. This is really interesting. And it's about the fact that hundreds of people are piling into these Walmarts and Costco's while these companies don't always pay their fair share in taxes that eventually go towards benefiting small communities. And the smaller companies that do pay their share fair are sort of now, getting the shit end of the stick, essentially. So it almost feels like they're getting doubly screwed here. What do you think, Jeff?
So 100% agree. And the reality is when you look at economic data, most wealth in countries is generated from entrepreneurs and businesses that are located, operated, pay taxes, and draw income out of those businesses in that local economy. And so when we're making rules that favor large international corporations, that favor the Walmarts, the Loblawses even of the world, that's a Canadian company, we are taking money out of small, medium-sized businesses that are predominantly family-owned, businesses that are even in the GTA disproportionately new immigrants that are multi-family-owned businesses, and we are transferring that to large corporations. And this is again, the acceleration of income inequality. COVID has resulted in policy decisions that the government's made that is transferring this wealth. So I'd say I agree completely with that comment.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff, just before we end, I was wondering, would you like to tell everybody a little bit about Thrive and what you guys do?
Yeah, sure. So Thrive is a career wellness platform. And what we do is we provide services to individuals and to companies when individuals have lost their job or are looking for a new job. So we work with a large number of Canadian companies ranging from small businesses to not-for-profits to large corporations. And when their business is in an unfortunate position where they're having to let people go, restructure their operations, we support those individuals in helping them find their next job. So we work with large companies and to small businesses. And so it's been really interesting during COVID because obviously a lot of individuals have lost their job. And so we've been able to see on a firsthand basis how challenging it is for those individuals and how those individuals it's been disproportionately impacting certain types of jobs, retail workers, manufacturing workers, frontline operation workers, and we're doing our best to help them find jobs as quickly as possible.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I think you gave some really great answers. I'm hoping that it debunks kind of some of what was being said, the stuff that we agreed with and the stuff that we didn't. And I think that, I just really hope that we do get some answers soon because as you said, sometimes the directions kind of seem like they're coming all over the place. In Canada, a lot of small businesses, I could definitely attest, the people that I know are definitely feeling the brunt of it for sure. We have a comment here. Someone said, all of us want help, but there's no real intelligence, direction, let alone fairness. And I think that's absolutely true. So again, thank you so much for coming, Jeff. Hopefully we'll have you on another time.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye.
Jeff, thanks so much for coming on the show. For everyone who might be wanting to follow Jeff or see any more of what him and his company do, feel free to follow him on Instagram and Twitter at Jeffrey_Doucette. Oh, sorry, I had the text on the last program there, but I didn't have it on this one. I'm just gonna type it here and then push it to the program for you guys to see. Oh, sorry, guys. It's giving me issues. It's not a good day today, but it's Jeffrey_Doucette, DOUCET, if you're wondering. Don't forget, you can always send in any comments that you want us to discuss on the show by DMing me on any platform. The comment section is live normally every Saturday at 10 a.m. right here on HAPS TV. Thanks for joining us from Mississauga, Ontario. I'm Shivani Prasad.